promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 p.m. in Lagos. Good afternoon and welcome to Newslink, live on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Here are the top stories. Human rights organizations in Mauritania petitioned the government to address rising discrimination against black citizens. Liberian President Joseph Boakai orders full investigation into U.S. $90 million cocaine seizure amid public pressure.
No institution will be shielded from scrutiny. No criminal network will escape justice.
Niger cracks down on corruption with new penalties for public fund embezzlement, including death sentence.
Oui, les peines sont dissuasives.
Yes, the penalties are a deterrent. When someone wants to embezzle or steal from the state, they will think twice before doing so.
Nigeria's appeal court halts the deregistration of 5 opposition parties, preserving their future for 2027 elections. Please stay with us for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Augustine Bill Coley.
Thank you for being with us. We begin in Mauritania, where a coalition of human rights organizations and activists is raising alarm over worsening discrimination against black Mauritanians. The group has petitioned the government to ensure the safety and protection of citizens who face rights violations based on their race and skin color. Signatories to the petition are also urging authorities to advance equality, safeguard civil liberties, and initiate an inclusive national dialogue to address long-standing social and political grievances. Imo Edit gives the details.
Among the concerns raised are the arrests of lawmakers Mariam Mint Sheikh and Gamo Mint Acho, which the signatories argue were carried out in violation of parliamentary immunity after the two criticized the country's leadership. The petition also highlights the detention of several anti-slavery activists and points to what it describes as increasing hate speech targeting black Mauritanians. The signatories further allege that administrative marginalization and institutional discrimination continue to affect black Mauritanian officials and professionals, limiting their participation in public life. They also criticize the country's law on the protection of state symbols, arguing that it restricts freedom of expression and could be used to silence dissent and political criticism. According to the petition, these developments risk deepening social divisions and reviving painful memories of past intercommunal tensions. The groups are calling on Mauritanian authorities to initiate an inclusive national dialogue focused on justice, equality, and respect for human rights. They are also urging citizens to promote social cohesion and reject actions that could undermine national unity. The Mauritanian government has not yet publicly responded to the petition.
Imo Edit with those details. In Liberia, President Joseph Boakai has ordered a full-scale investigation into the recent seizure of cocaine estimated at US $19 million at the country's international airport. The president issued the directive while addressing the nation on Tuesday evening amid public concern over delays by the Drug Enforcement Agency in disclosing the names of suspects linked to the 237 kilograms of cocaine that were confiscated. The illicit shipment marks Liberia's second-largest narcotic seizure in the past 4 years, following the interception of a cocaine value at approximately $100 million at the free port of Monrovia in 2022. Our correspondent, Abraham Parker, reports.
President Joseph Boakai has directed the National Joint Security under the authority of the National Security Council to conduct a full-scale investigation into the case. According to the president, the investigation will focus not only on individuals directly connected to the shipment, but also on identifying and dismantling the wider criminal network responsible for financial coordinating and facilitating the operation.
Any individual group that seek to exploit our territory, corrupt our institutions, endanger our youth will be identified, pursued, and brought to justice.
The Liberian leader also announced stronger cooperation with international law enforcement agencies to do intelligence sharing, forensic analysis, financial trafficking, and cross-border investigations. He said a high-level Liberian delegation has already engaged international partners to strengthen efforts aimed at uncovering everyone linked to the trafficking operation.
This investigation will follow the evidence wherever it leads. No institution will be shielded from scrutiny. No criminal network will escape justice.
The drug seizure has intensified the concerns about the growing threat of drug trafficking in Liberia and across the West African region. Security experts warn that large-scale narcotics operations often drive corruption, weaken institutions, and pose serious risks to young people and communities. While authorities are yet to release the names of individuals connected to the shipment, the president says no one will be considered untouchable as investigators work to uncover the full scope of what appears to be a sophisticated international trafficking network. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Meanwhile, Senegalese customs authorities have announced the seizure of nearly 1 ton of cocaine during an anti-narcotics operation in the country's central region. The illicit narcotics, valued at more than 58 billion CFA francs, approximately over $102 million, are among the largest cocaine seizure recorded by Senegal in recent years. The interception camps amid intensified efforts to combat drug trafficking across West Africa, following major cocaine seizures in Liberia and ongoing investigation into suspected trafficking networks with links to Sierra Leone. Authorities say the operation underscores growing regional cooperation to disrupt transnational drug trafficking routes and organized crime within the region.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Elsewhere in the Central Sahel region, precisely Niger, the transitional authorities have introduced tougher penalties for the embezzlement of public funds, including the possibility of life imprisonment for those found guilty by a court of law. The new measures form part of a broader effort to strengthen the fight against corruption and enhance accountability in the management of state resources. Officials say the revised sanctions will protect public finances, deter economic crimes, and reinforce confidence in government institutions. Abdullahi Hassan completes the story.
The new legislation redefines embezzlement of public funds as an act of a public official misappropriating funds or assets entrusted to them in the course of their duties. The concept of public property no longer applies solely to the state, but any assets belonging to private organizations managing a public service as well as foreign aid. Meanwhile, the Nigerian civil society welcomes this measure by the authorities. Kani Abdullahi is a citizen activist.
When someone is caught embezzling public funds and their guilt is established, the law must be applied, and it is being applied. It will be applied because it is the law. It is in the penal code. Now, will that prevent the embezzlement of public funds? I'm not entirely sure, because both the embezzlement of public funds and corruption are as old as the world. So, since embezzlement of public funds is quite simply theft, it is theft.
From now on, any public official who embezzles less than 2 million CFA francs risks 1 to 2 years in prison. Between 2 and 200 million, the perpetrator could face up to 30 years in prison. An embezzlement of up to 500 million CFA francs will result to life imprisonment, while death penalty will be the sentence for any official who embezzles 1 billion CFA francs. In this context, Kani Abdullahi again says,
Oui, les peines sont dissuasives.
Yes, the penalties are a deterrent, even a persuasive one. This means that indeed, when someone wants to embezzle or steal from the state, from public funds, they will think twice before doing so. This is how I see it. For me, it's educational, because people will be more careful, if you allow me the expression, before trying to embezzle public funds.
Authorities in Niamey maintain that the new measure is intended to discourage public corruption and embezzlement of state assets and resources.
Abdullahi Hassan with the details of Yakuba Habibullah's report from Niamey. Now to politics. In Nigeria, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has suspended a Federal High Court's judgment that directed the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to deregister 5 opposition political parties. According to the previous ruling, the affected parties did not meet the minimum electoral performance thresholds, which requires a party to either win at least one elective seat or secure at least 25% of votes in a state during a presidential election. Among the affected parties is the African Democratic Congress, ADC, along with 4 other opposition parties that challenged the ruling at the appellate court. However, the suspension of the High Court's judgment allows the parties to remain registered pending the determination of their appeals. Our Abuja correspondent Yeche Nusasetu reports.
The affected parties are the African Democratic Congress, Accord Party, Action Alliance, Action People's Party, and Zenith Labour Party. Reacting to the development, National Chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yusuf Dantali, describes the initial judgment as a breach of democratic principles.
Africa is supposed to look up to Nigeria as a big brother. We have gone to Benin Republic to enthrone democracy. But here we are now busy trying to see that we disenfranchise some people, we exclude some people from the system. Why?
Dantale says the controversy highlights the need for broader electoral reforms. He states that as a means of strengthening the independence and credibility of the electoral body, a long-term solution is to remove the power to appoint the chairman of INEC from the executive branch of government.
You don't solve a problem by addressing the symptoms. First thing that we have advocated for is the removal of the power to appoint the chairman of INEC and the commissioners from the executive. You cannot appoint a referee while you are a player. That is the beginning. We must detach the umbilical cord.
The Court of Appeal's decision means the affected parties will remain on INEC's register pending the determination of the substantive appeals. The case is expected to shape discussions around electoral reforms, political participation, and the future of Nigeria's democratic process. For WADR, Yeche Nusasetu in Abuja.
Away from Nigeria, the ECOWAS technical mission is continuing consultations to resolve the border dispute between Guinea and Sierra Leone. On Tuesday, a delegation from the West African Regional Bloc met with the National Council of Guinean Civil Society as part of its fact-finding and stakeholder engagement process. Discussions focused on gathering views, concerns, and recommendations from CSO representatives to support efforts towards a peaceful, lasting, and mutually acceptable resolution of the dispute. ECOWAS says inclusive dialogue remains central to promoting stability and strengthening relations between the two neighboring countries. Usma Umar reports the details.
Following an initial visit to Sierra Leone in September 2025, the ECOWAS technical delegation arrived in Conakry to gather input from Guinean stakeholders. At the Dixon Citizens House in the capital, civil society actors responded to the call from the ECOWAS technical mission tasked with resolving the border dispute between Guinea and Sierra Leone. The discussions focused in particular on the coexistence of border populations, the free movement of people, the prevention of tensions, and local dispute resolution mechanisms. The president of the National Council of Civil Society Organizations of Guinea, Gabriel Haba, welcomed the ECOWAS initiative and reaffirmed Guinean civil society's readiness to support efforts towards peace, social cohesion, and regional integration. Civil society actors expressed their readiness to submit numerous proposals to the ECOWAS Technical Commission aimed at resolving the border dispute. It should be noted that ECOWAS' approach is part of the pre-negotiation process initiated by the ECOWAS heads of state to promote a peaceful solution to the border conflict between Guinea and Sierra Leone. The various proposals from Sierra Leonean and Guinean stakeholders will be compiled in a report to be submitted to the ECOWAS Conference of Heads of State and the organization's commission. Following recent tensions between Guinea and Sierra Leone along their shared border, their heads of state met in Guinea to discuss the issue. Conakry has since deployed a significant military presence to its borders with Sierra Leone.
A report from Channel Alpha Ibrahim Balde in Conakry, voiced by Usma Umar. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Human rights organizations in Mauritania petitioned the government to address rising discrimination against black citizens. Liberian President Joseph Boakai orders full investigation into US $90 million cocaine seizure amid public pressure. Niger cracks down on corruption with new penalties for public fund embezzlement, including death sentence. Nigeria's appeal court halts the deregistration of 5 opposition parties, preserving their future for 2027 elections. Still ahead in the news, we have a press review, guest interview, and sports. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Thank you for staying with us. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's turn to the Gambia, where the government has reaffirmed its commitment to protecting and promoting the rights and well-being of children. The reaffirmation was made on Tuesday as the country joins the rest of the continent in marking the Day of the African Child. Authorities described the occasion as a timely reminder of the need to uphold children's rights and ensure access to equality and quality health care, protection, and opportunities for every child to reach their full potential. WDR Sandona Mendy reports from Banjul.
Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Fatou Kinte, says the day provides an opportunity to reflect on progress made in advancing children's rights while addressing challenges that continue to affect children across the Gambia and the wider continent. The minister calls for collective action to create a safe and supportive environment for every child, highlighting ongoing efforts to improve access to education, healthcare, and social protection services.
The Day of the African Child has become a platform for governments, civil society, and communities to reaffirm their dedication to building an Africa fit for its children. Sustainable water resource management is not only vital for health and dignity, but also central to achieving Agenda 2063 of the African Union, strengthening climate resilience and securing inclusive socio-economic development for all.
According to the 2018 Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey, access to improved drinking water sources has risen significantly, with about 90% of households having access to safe water. However, only 61% of households have access to improved sanitation facilities. Nafisa Bint Safik is UNICEF country representative.
Poor hygiene and sanitation remain part of that challenge. One important place to act is school. A school without clean water, safe toilets, soap, and privacy cannot be fully safe or inclusive.
As the Gambia joins the rest of the continent in marking the Day of the African Child, the occasion serves as both a celebration of progress and a reminder of the work that remains. Stakeholders say ensuring every child has access to education, healthcare, clean water, protection and equal opportunities will be crucial to building a brighter future for the next generation. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Sangdana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, let's remain in Banjul for a review of the local dailies with Sandona Mendy.
We begin with the Standard newspaper, which reports that ex-student leader killer remanded. On Monday, a 33-year-old Guinean national has been identified as the suspect in the fatal stabbing of former student leader Yunus Ambey. Elsewhere in the Standard, the Gambia Moral Congress has reacted to calls for its leader to be summoned before the National Assembly over the alleged missing $48 million laboratory project. Also making headlines, the Court of Appeal in Banjul had a preliminary objection from the defense team in the state's appeal against Ousainou Bojang and Ami Bojang. From the Standard, we now move to The Point newspaper. The Point reports that proceedings at the National Assembly were suspended for 30 minutes on Tuesday after lawmakers engaged in a lengthy debate over whether the Deputy Speaker should continue presiding while a matter linked to a petition concerning him was being raised. Also in The Point, the Foreign Affairs Minister has received an AU-ECOWAS pre-election fact-finding mission, and the Gambia Revenue Authority Commissioner General is urging stakeholders to embrace the country's new digital tax system. Finally, Observer 24 reports that Paramount Chief Yaya Jajusi has been inaugurated. And that brings us to the end of today's press review. Back to you in the studios.
Thanks to Sanduna Mendy for bringing us the press review from Banjul.
Politics,
analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest interviewed this afternoon focuses on Liberia, where President Joseph Boakai addressed the nation on Tuesday evening following growing public concern over delays by the Drug Enforcement Agency in disclosing the names of suspects linked to the recent seizure of 237 kilograms of cocaine at the country's international airport. Why the president mandated a full-scale investigation into the confiscation, he did not, however, mention a time frame for an outcome of the investigation, including the need to disclose the names of the suspects. Our guest is Sam Sion, our security expert in Liberia.
The president's address was necessary, was timely, because this was to alert the nation that the president is not taking lightly the issues of drugs being brought into his country. You know, the issues of drugs come with huge security implications. When you have drugs being brought into any country, especially in the region of our West Africa, it comes with a lot of different features because drug is an organized crime that have participants in various parts of the world.
The president's address followed series of calls from CSOs, security experts like you, including ordinary citizens, for the president to address the issue about the refusal of the Drug Enforcement Agency to disclose the names of suspects linked to the seizure of the drug. But in the president's address, there was nothing mentioned about the need to disclose the names of those involved. What does this signal about transparency in the fight against drug trafficking?
Well, I think from my security point of view, there is not, we would say, never be transparent. For the fact that a lot of people are not aware or don't understand the workings of the law, particularly in complicated cases, complicated investigations like drugs investigation. So this is not just the ordinary case when an individual is being arrested for perpetrating a crime in the community or a crime, but this is international. Liberia still recovering from the long protracted civil war. Liberia does not have the sophistication. As I say, the Liberian security forces don't have the needed sophistication compared to other countries that are being encountering the drugs in other parts of the world. So Liberia will have to gradually upgrade its capacity, gradually cooperate with international partners, gradually help with identifying these rules that are not being brought to our country. You know, the drug trafficker look for a route that is below the radar. Definitely Liberia is a route that below the radar because Liberia is drug thing is a strange thing in our country. In that though half-spot country where every goods, every commodity that leaves the country are red flag. Liberia is below the radar. Like I said, drugs investigations come with a lot of different complications.
Is this one different from the previous cases of drug seizures?
No, it's not different. What different in every drug cases are the individual, the actors, the participants are the one usually different. But in this case, the suspects, if there are suspects already arrested, we don't know about that. I think the resistance to release name of individuals who may be associated with this drug eye is intended to ensure that people who may be providing intel, people who may know something, people who may have seen something, people who are part of it, so they wouldn't get away. We have experience in the past where there was a major investigation linking to drugs. Because name was laid, the name came up, people were arrested and people confessed name. Those individual names that were made available, the rest of the suspects that were involved, they were able to abscond. So I think in this case, the investigator may have a particular intelligence. And that intelligence may basically be, if the intelligence basically, if we release the name of these people, there are huge possibilities that the other parties, the other participants, we may not be able to get them.
Sam Sion is a security expert from Liberia. Well, we have Sankule the Sportive Janko in the studios with me with the latest updates in the FIFA World Cup. Sankule, Senegal began their campaign yesterday, but it wasn't the results they had wanted.
Well, indeed, Augustine, Senegal's 2026 World Cup campaign began with a 3-1 defeat to France in Group I on Tuesday in New Jersey. Well, the Lions of Teranga impressed in the first half and created better chances but failed to find the breakthrough. Well, France took control after the break with Kylian Mbappe scoring twice and Bradley Barcola adding another. Well, Ibrahim Baye grabbed a late consolation for the Terangolans, but unfortunately, despite the defeat, Senegal showed plenty of promise but will now need a positive result against Norway on June 23 to keep their hopes of reaching the knockout stage alive.
What was the result of the other match in this group?
Of course, and talking about that, Norway made an impressive start to their Group I campaign, defeating 4-1 Iraq 4-1 with Erling Haaland scoring twice, and that result puts Norway level with France on 3 points, and they will face Senegal next in their crucial Group I clash.
Well, it may not have been the ideal start for the reigning African champions, but it was certainly a dream start for the defending champions Argentina and Senegal.
Indeed, Augustine, because defending champions Argentina kick off their 2026 FIFA World Cup campaign in emphatic fashion with a 3-0 victory over Algeria in Kansas City. Well, Lionel Messi was the star of the night, scoring a hat-trick on his 200th international appearance. In doing so, the Argentine captain equaled Germany's Miroslav Klose as the joint all-time leading goal scorer in the World Cup history with 16 goals. And the win sends Argentina to the top of Group J, while Algeria now face a must-win encounter against Jordan on the 23 to keep their knockout hopes alive. And talking about that, in that Group J, Australia defeated Jordan 3-1.
Well, there are some exciting matches to look out for today, aren't there?
Yes, absolutely, Augustine. After a disappointing day for Africa with Senegal and Algeria both losing, attention now turns to Ghana and DR Congo to lift the continent's spirit. Well, DR Congo face Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal at 5 p.m. before England take on Croatia at 8 p.m. in what promises to be a fascinating contest. Well, later tonight, Ghana's Black Stars begin their World Cup campaign against Panama at 11 p.m. with African fans hoping for a positive result. However, I emphasize that is already bad news for Ghana because midfielder Thomas Partey will miss the match after his appeal for a visa to enter Canada was denied for a second time by a court.
What do we expect in that midfield for Ghana? Is it that a possible replacement that can maintain?
Well, they have the likes of Antoine Semenyo, so let's be hopeful that they'll see a positive result because Africa needs a positive result tonight. We do. And when I mentioned DR Congo and Portugal, there seems to be an expression on your face that I don't understand.
Well,
are you scared of Portugal? Because the truth is they have a good team.
Oh, well, yes, when you look at the midfield of Portugal,
it's the best actually in the world at the moment.
They have some good players who are on Paris Saint-Germain, who are on Manchester United.
Absolutely.
I mean, these are
Manchester
good players.
City.
Yes, Man
now
City.
Real Madrid, that's Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, going to Saudi Arabia where Cristiano Ronaldo comes from. I mean, Al-Nassr and other things. But let's look at the rhythm. Is it dropping by the defeat of Senegal, the defeat of Algeria? Are the African countries now dropping the rhythm?
It's been a mix of results. Remember, the first African team to play was South Africa in the opening game, and then they were beaten by Mexico. And after that, we've seen some very impressive results. We've seen Morocco drawn against Brazil. We've seen Cape Verde held Spain, 2010 champions, to a goalless draw. There are some series of results, but then again, we've seen both Senegal and Algeria losing. That's why today Ghana and DR Congo will need to do us a favor and then get us some positive results.
Well, thank you, Sankule, for bringing us the latest.
Pleasure.
And that's it on this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal, and online at wadr.org. Thank you for listening. Many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Mauro Ju for the technical assistance. I am Augustine Curley. Good afternoon.
We thank you for listening to Newslink in Nigeria on Love FM Abuja and Darling FM Owerri. In the Gambia on Hot FM Banjul, Hilltop FM and Veritas Radio in Serekunda. Thank you for listening on Alternative Youth Radio Lofa County, Liberia, Radio Kegaman in Nimba County, and DCN Radio Riverses County. A big thank you to Radio Baft FM in Sierra Leone for listening, and in Ghana we thank Radio Pad in Damango and Royals FM in Wenchi. Thank you all for listening to Newslink.